London is now so quiet at 6 AM on a Thursday morning. We got Regents Park laps, which I'm looking forward to because it's with the girls. And I love coming into town to see them. Guys, welcome back to the What Life. Let's roll. Sorry, Goose. So I didn't plan for this video to work out like this, but while we're here, we might as well have a really good conversation about it, guys. So drop your comments below. I'll see you in a second. Enjoy the rest of the video and we will catch up in a sec. Today's video is brought to you by Insta360, who have kindly provided me a little camera for the front of my bike, Insta360 cam. Guys, my day job is video production, media. It's what I do day in, day out. If I'm not working on vlogs, chances are I'm working on video production. So probably about time to cue the Insta360 London early morning montage. So it's Thursday morning, Regents Park laps, which is cool because it's with the Pure Sport Cycle Club. And how would I describe this? It's probably sits at the spectrum of really social rather than really biker ridey, if that makes sense. Guys that want to come jump on their bikes, go for some social laps. I don't think they'd know what a pull through is, a chain gang, sitting on. That's not judgy. I think that's just like you get different demographics join different groups. That's not to say they're not good at riding bikes. I just think this is out and out, grab two wheels and enjoy it, which is quite nice. And Regents Park, you know, small little laps. It's cool to do it. But I don't think you need to take it seriously to come join. I don't think you need to take anything too seriously, full stop. It definitely feels like the seasons are changing. This is the first time at the end of August that I'm wearing a long sleeve jersey. Still in the short bibs though. So the absolute idiots that organised this ride, Chrissy, I am talking to you, sent me one location and then went to meet at a different location. I've now got their live location. They are lapping the opposite way round to me. Regents Park, like 3K loop. So we'll see them in a second. Just about to be joined by Dan. It's super windy today. Not good for the deep dish wheels, but fun though. Hello, boy. We got half the band together after a little bit of an administrative clerical error.
But basically, it confuses me. Like everyone comes to me and asks me for the meeting point, and I'm like, it's just too much stress. And then one person decides to change it, and I'm like, oh god.
Which is weird because you asked me and then told me a meeting point, so I didn't ask you anything. So I see your logic. Yeah. The nice thing about Regents Park is you can come up here because it's such a small loop, cycle around the other way, and you bump into everyone. It's like the Pied Piper. We're just going to keep picking people up as we go around. We're doing 20 minutes, 30 minutes as a little closed small group. before we joined the Pure Sport group. And we're already seeing people out and about. I've also just seen the Zwift painted Pinarello Dogma, which is quite sexy.
Both of you stress me out. Someone said, it's like, I'm going to do a lap, de-stress.
We weren't even here. We were in our meet locations on time. I think this is actually the fun bit about Regents Park, because you haven't planned to meet any of these people. Well, except for Chrissy, and then she bailed on me because she set the wrong meet point. So, but you just meet people anyway.
I shared my location. Hey!
This is Anya, who's a 2:32 marathon runner who's fallen in love with cycling. And you've just returned from Morzine smashing the mountains, and you were doing laps whilst we were going the other way a minute ago. So nothing. You don't do things in halves, do you?
No, all in, and then within 3 days I'm going back to Girona. I've fallen in love with 2 wheels, not 2 feet.
So the big groups, I'm not terribly fussed about joining any particular group at any particular speed, just hang out with my buddies. But it's a lot of people, which does slightly worry me. It's just started raining as well. London in the summer. So I have loved sport ever since I was a little kid. I love it for every single reason, but mostly it's because I like doing the act. I like putting effort into training. I like it. I like culture. I like sport culture. Does London and Regents Park have a bike problem? Is it too many people? What do we do about it? Because now what we have, and I'm not an aficionado on this, I'm opening this up to everyone. What we have is people doing 16k an hour being passed by people doing 40k an hour. If we're honest, the weather today is pretty horrible. I don't know, it feels like a recipe for disaster. So I do want to be positive, but like I said, I've only been up here a few times. I don't know, there's a lot of people. As someone that kind of leans on the side of like doing things well, likes pushing themselves, this environment does make it a little bit more dangerous. I mean, this, for instance, look at this right now. Says the guy holding a camera, obviously, but I don't know. Spaces and places for everyone, 100%. How do we make it work? Not sure I love the big group vibe in this lot. It's cool, and I'm looking forward to the coffee though. Yeah, like 4 or 5 abreast. It's hard because you need to join clubs to learn how to. Again, I don't want to be like aficionado. Topless dude in London. I don't want to be the aficionado on it, but you know, you kind of, clubs are there to, some clubs are there to help people kind of keep safe at the end of the day. And I think the pure sport guys need a briefing that is a little bit more, can we please stay 2 up, keep it in a group, and more actually the practical side of cycling than it does about the, calling a pace group sexy pace, because that doesn't help people learn. And if we're going to grow the communities, we need to grow them with a sense of, responsibility. You're going to invite people down and have a cycle group. They probably shouldn't be riding like this. That's a bit judgy of me, I understand, but I call it how I see it. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy who turns up to a club and tries to change things or anything like that. But safety first. I'm 42 years old. I lived and cycled in London pretty much for the last 20 odd years. I think we as cyclists can't go around blaming cars the whole time without taking responsibility ourselves. And yes, there are times when you do events. I've done events before where you kind of just take over the streets of London. Good fun on a Thursday night at midnight. Great fun. Bridges rides, things like that. This isn't that. This is a Thursday morning loops around Regents Park. And look, here's a good group. Hey, morning, dude. Groups of 2 up. I don't know how they're going to pass the other group. Interesting. Cycle culture is alive and well, but I think we've got to do something. I'm not the fun police. I am not the police at all. But I do think a reasonable amount of responsibility has to be taken by cycle groups. It's a good opportunity to get people together and be like, hey, look, this is a hand signal, this is what this hand signal means. Try and ride 2 up. And we're not talking 2 up inches from wheels, guys. We're literally talking, you can give 2-3 bikes. The problem is that if you give 2-3 bikes in that environment, people they're riding it like it's a closed road peloton. But it's nice. I'm looking forward to coffee with the guys. Just teeny bit of responsibility, I think, if we're honest with ourselves. I've honestly never seen negligent cycling quite like this from a organised, like an official group. You're going to meet up with your mates and blah blah blah, one thing, but I just don't think you can. Yeah, if you're going to meet up with your mates, that's one thing, but the negligence I've seen today, red traffic lights, couldn't care less. Stop, I don't think you can do that as an organised group. That's just me. That's me with my old man hat on. Just, I think, yeah, I'm gonna go right here, thank you. Just negligence upon negligence is how I describe it. I hope the coffee's good and not £4. Anyway, this is Fortitude Bakery, which I think is actually a proper bakery rather than a patisserie. I don't know whether, does that make sense? Like it's a legit bakery. Now this is very cool because it's a nice real cycle culture location. I've got no idea where it is. I'll try and drop it on a map, but this is the culture that I enjoy. That's warm as well.
Warm?
What have you got? Oh no!
It's so good! It is a chocolate sticky bun.
All right, over and done with that. And in typical end of summer fashion, it's raining in London. We're gonna do a quick cruise around a few locations because I do like London. I like London cycling. I don't really know where I am at the moment. We'll figure it out, it's not a big place. If you come cycling in London, and you should come cycling in London, it's so easy to get around town on a bike. You don't quite realise it. You see the underground and you think everything is so far away. It's honestly not. You're one side to the other in about 6 or 7 miles. But one place you have to come is the Mall and cycle down to Prince Charles, King Charles's gaff. So this whole experience was really interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. Firstly, there is a big difference between a group of friends meeting and going for a ride. When a brand gets involved and starts hosting events, there's something called public liability insurance. If you go and meet up with a group and it is organized by someone and those ride leaders are even just gifted something in return for their participation within the event, there is definitely an argument that they are being paid to be there. It is a brand-facing event. There is a sense of liability, and if anything was to happen, it would fall within those ride leaders as a kind of degree of consequence. And ultimately, if you kind of then turn up and be like, well, there was no safety briefing, there was no messaging about this, that, the other, there is a little bit of kind of onus on those guys who are hosting the event. And I think that's probably something that maybe they are not 100% aware of. Firstly, before we dive into anything, I want to say that I do believe there are spaces and places for everyone. But this is my point, and I think it's a really good one. And the reason that I want to actually make this part of the video is very simple. We learn by kind of participating and being around people that also know or perhaps have more knowledge than us. This is a great example of an event or a place where if you are riding along and you are 3 up, you could, knowing that you should be riding as a 2 up, and I'm not 100% sure on the laws, guys. I do know that you are allowed to ride single file, and I know that you are allowed to ride in 2 ups. I'm not sure what the law says about just covering the road and whether that kind of puts a cyclist within any liability. So I'm going to hold my hand up on that. But I do know from a safety perspective and also from a public perspective, the perception of a car driver, and I drive cars, obviously ride bikes, so I kind of tend to try and take a view from both perspectives. But if you are 3 up and car drivers see that as just complete like negligence, they're like, that cyclist should not be doing that. They get crazy when you go 2 up, and we know that. And I think if we try and just turn a blind eye to that, then we're probably causing more problems than we are solutions. But my original point is this: if you are in a group and you are riding along and you are 3 up, and you are aware of this, you can literally say, oh, hey, do you want to pull in? Like, would you like to move in? And to kind of really emphasize things, I think it's a great opportunity for riders to go up and meet other riders, to get out on the road. But it's also really got a good opportunity for them to learn from those other riders and those riders that have more experience. And those riders that have more experience, I'm going to label as the ride leaders for this particular event. Because they are the ones that should be saying, hey guys, look, we're going to be riding around. We've got a big group. We're going to go out at 20 people. When I join different clubs, most clubs will segregate groups down to 10. Slightly different though, because they're going out on like really open, wide public roads. This is loops around Regent's Park. So I am going to make a little bit of leeway for that. But Regent's Park gets a bad rep because of the way that the car drivers treat the cyclists. So in some respects, I do think us as cyclists have to take an onus on ourselves to create an environment that accommodates both. Now, there were some instances where there were cyclists kind of all over the road, and I think that does just come from maybe a lack of sharing that conversation, sharing your knowledge about cycling. And if you are 3, 4 up, you can just say, hey, would you like to move in? Or hey, you just drop back and just let them naturally move in. And you having that awareness and allowing someone to do that, I think kind of creates a safer environment. And the more people that you kind of say that to people like, hey, do you want to move in? You're not shaming them for sitting 3 up. You're not shaming them for sitting 4 up. You are simply offering them the opportunity to ride in a manner that is kind of safe and probably more acceptable from a car driver's perspective. Even if you are allowed to ride 4 up, and I'm not sure, like I said, whether that is actually legally allowed, but if you know about it, and when you are riding 2 up,
there is a huge emphasis on the fact that you don't have to be 6 inches from the wheel in front. You don't have to be a foot from the wheel in front. You can be 2, 3, 4 bike lengths from the wheel in front. But I do think that there is a degree of responsibility within staying kind of within a certain position, just like not sitting right on the outside of the road. Because there were some instances where when there are riders that are 4 up, for a car to pass, they would have to be completely on the other side of the road. But also, if they were to leave the 2-meter window that we as cyclists have the right to demand that they do leave, there would actually be no way for them to pass, because that would require them being on the pavement of the opposite side of the road. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But that's it. I just want to open up the conversation, because I think that there is an emphasis on us as cyclists to have a sense of responsibility. There's an emphasis on us as cyclists who have a more kind of in-depth experience of riding on the open roads, to share that with people that want to come and turn up and be part of this. That starts from the top. That starts from the ride leaders saying, hey guys, this is our groups. These are our speed groups. I think that we should try and emphasize, let's try and stay 2 up. Let's try not to cover the road. If you find yourself sitting out in the middle of the road, just find a way to work back in. You don't have to sit on people's wheels. You can leave as much gap as you want between you and the rider in front. But if you find yourself riding in the middle of the road, please just be aware that we would like you to move back in within a 2 up kind of more kind of left side of the road. Just be a bit more safe. I'm not saying that actually what's going to happen is that it's going to cause any incidents in particular. I think with the riding speed and the kind of group mentality of just kind of riding along nice and gently, you are not actually opening yourself up to any kind of huge danger in this particular instance. But what it does do is create an environment where a driver might come up behind, see this, and then create agitation that then gets taken out further down the line. We're creating enemies rather than allies. And I think that is important. And I think somewhere like Regents Park, where it's a completely safe environment to do something like that, these are the places that we kind of should be making those mistakes. Because if you were to do that out on a country road, especially out where I live, and it's 60 miles an hour and a car comes herring around the corner, there are slightly more severe consequences. There's speed limits in place on Regents Park. It's not as heavily congested in terms of cars, especially that time in the morning, because of the nature of it being a really kind of cycle heavy environment, because they do close the gates for certain points, for certain times of the day. So it is a really good place to come and learn. But part of learning is also being taught, and you need someone to take you through those steps. So this is just opening up a conversation between the guys that host these events, because there is a sense of public liability if it is being branded as an event that is being hosted by a company. Then I don't think you can kind of roll through traffic lights with a group of 10, 12 people. I honestly just, and I may or may not have gone through a red light on my own or at other times. But I certainly wouldn't do it with a group of 12 people if I was leading a ride. And I think that's the difference. And that's the one change I'd like to try and make. It's the conversation I'd like to have, which is, how do we teach people when they come to these cycling environments? What's a safe and non-shaming way to do it so that they feel comfortable coming back? I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys, and I hope you have enjoyed this, little episode on cycling up in Regents Park and joining different groups. I want more cyclists, spaces and places for everyone. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys on another one soon.